So joining us now is Lloyd Smucker, Congressman Lloyd Smucker from the House Ways and Means Committee, along with former Labor Secretary nominee Andy Puzder. Now, the President Biden's poll numbers continue to plunge. Americans are already looking ahead to the midterms and 2024. So, Congressman, with this administration struggling to handle inflation, historic crime levels, COVID-19, do you expect now the Republicans to take the House and the Senate?
Well, Edward, thanks for having me. And I think things are looking very good. The Democrats just absolutely are not listening to the American people. It's unbelievable, the reaction they had to the Youngkin win in Virginia. It's as if they're dressing themselves up at Santa Claus and think that giving handouts to the American people are going to win their vote. But I can tell you, this isn't what the American people want. In fact, it feels a whole lot like lumps of coal in their stocking when they look at crisis after crisis under this administration. You see inflation. Real wages have gone down 8 of 10 months in this administration. By the way, feels like a long 11 months, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So we have a crisis at the border. We have a leadership crisis with Americans being left behind in Afghanistan.
Well, right.
The American people are upset. Yes.
Yeah, no, Congressman, I do want you to listen to something, too, on the points that you're making there. So President Biden was asked about his plans to run again in 2024 during an ABC News interview. And I want both of you to listen to this exchange and then respond. Listen.
You said you would absolutely serve 8 years if elected. Do you plan to run for re-election?
Yes. But look, I'm a great respecter of fate. Fate has intervened in my life many, many times. If I'm in the health I'm in now, if I'm in good health, then, in fact, I would run again.
And if that means a rematch against Donald Trump?
You're trying to tempt me now. Sure. Why would I not run against Donald Trump if he was the nominee? That would increase the prospect of running.
Yeah, so, Andy, I want to get your take. It's interesting that he hedged that with a way out if he doesn't run with his health, right?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, any American who wants to see inflation come down, wants to see the economy soar, wants to see our border secure, wants to see us respected in the world once again, and wants to see us get ahead of this COVID crisis should vote for Joe Biden's health, because I can't think of anything that would be better for the country than if Joe Biden ran again, particularly if he runs against Donald Trump, because I don't think there's any chance with the situation he's put this country in that people would make the same mistake twice. We're, as the congressman just said, we are in a very terrible situation. On the generic ballot, we're up by about 2.5 percentage points. We're raising more money. The American people are done with this president. Unfortunately, we have to wait about 11 months for an election, but I think it's over.
Right. So, Congressman, you're on the Ways and Means Committee. You talk about inflation. You mentioned that. We got a PCE inflation number today that's the highest year over year since July of 1982. Is inflation the big midterm election deciding factor? Or is it one of the other issues you're starting to talk about, immigration crisis or the way we withdrew from Afghanistan or crime?
Well, I think people are worried about all of these crises, but particularly inflation when they go to the gas pump. And it's 60% higher than it was just 11 months ago. And people want this president to defeat COVID. And one of the things that we did well with Operation Warp Speed is we brought not only a vaccine that went through all of the approval process, but we were manufacturing it while that was going on, so it was ready to go as soon as it was approved. I went to my local drugstore today. I couldn't find a rapid test. Yeah. Do you know that we've had approval for them for 12 months? And just now the president says, oh, I should have thought about it 3 months ago. We needed a lot of rapid tests, and he ordered it. Pfizer just did the antiviral. By the way, this is going to be a game changer for COVID. But then they tell us yesterday it's going to take 9 months to manufacture it. This is an unbelievable lack of leadership in defeating COVID, in the monetary policies that drive this inflation. And I think Andy said exactly right. The American people already are done with this president.
Yes, so interesting. So, Andy, yesterday I asked the White House press secretary about Biden's plunging poll numbers on the economy and how the administration is reacting to that. Listen to this. So 22% of registered voters say the president's policies are putting inflation, are getting inflation under control. It's only 22%. Half is saying that it's hurting inflation. At what point do you look at poll numbers like this and change course on economic policies?
Well, I think our economic policies are driven by economists, not by polls. And what economists and our policy experts think will help to continue on the record of job creation, the record of economic growth, the greatest in 50 years for any president that we've seen over the last year. We also, though, are human beings here. We're empathetic, and we, to the challenges people are going through, which is that we're still battling through a pandemic. Life doesn't look like what it looked like a few years ago.
Yeah, so Andy, is this a case where, listen to my words, but not actually what we see at the grocery store, at the pumps, and in our wallets?
Yeah, they are so tone deaf in Washington, D.C. This administration is so tone deaf. It's like they live in this bubble, this leftist bubble, where whatever they say is true, they believe has to be true. And it seems like during the pandemic, that bubble is hermetically sealed, and they've even lost common sense. They are completely out of touch with what the American people are experiencing in the grocery store, at the gas pump, no matter what they're buying, where they're going, the empty shelves, the high prices, what they can do for their kids this Christmas. You have to get in touch with it. Look, Joe Biden set the standard for whether he's a failure or a success as president. He said, I have a plan to shut COVID down. Well, has he shut it down? Like the congressman said, you can't even get a test.
Quickly, I want to get this in. Looking ahead to the 2022 midterms, the administration's plans, President Biden is still saying that he's not giving up on his Build Back Better. Listen to this.
Let me turn, Mr. President, to Build Back Better. Many say it's an agenda in peril right now, in large part because of Senator Joe Manchin. Universal pre-K, the child tax credit, of course, historic money to fight climate change.
I haven't given up on this.
So, Congressman, do you see possibility of resurrecting this bill in the last 30 seconds that we have?
Well, God bless Senator Manchin. That's perhaps the best gift that the American people could have received. And I hope this stays dead. I've learned that nothing stays dead forever, but this is the wrong prescription for America at this time, and the American people know it.
Exactly. The poll numbers are showing it, too. Thank you, Congressman Lloyd Smucker from Pennsylvania. I appreciate Andy Puzder. Thank you very much for your time on this.